Want to know the secret of Victorian beauty? Simple. Die slowly while looking fabulous. If you think overdoing skincare is a modern thing, wait until you see what these women did. They literally put arsenic on their faces, tapeworms in their intestines, and fire on their hair, all with a pale smile and an "I'm fine" on their lips. And before you laugh thinking we've evolved, let me tell you, the poison is still the same, only the packaging has changed. Today we don't swallow worms, but we buy $300 detox capsules. We don't apply opium to our faces, but we overload on acids with French names. The difference is that now we pay a high price to deceive ourselves. In this video, you'll discover the 10 toxic beauty tricks of the Victorian era. And more importantly, you'll realize that the problem wasn't just the poison, it was the desperation to be accepted. And spoiler, that desperation still lives within us, ready to face the mirror without a filter. Who needs intermittent fasting when you can simply create a monster in your intestine? That's right. In the 19th century, some women outsourced their diets. They swallowed capsules containing tapeworm eggs, a parasite that could grow up to 9 meters, that consumed what they ate. Guaranteed weight loss. Mental health? Not so much. This was the Victorian version of stay slim effortlessly. The disgusting detail? After the worm grew and settled in, they took pills to expel it. Nausea, cramps, diarrhea, and, in some cases, a hospital visit if it didn't exit on its own. Now that's an internal cleansing process. The obsession with thin waists was so intense that anything went. Literally, anything. And the craziest part? This practice occasionally resurfaces, today with fancier names and detox promises. But deep down, people still want to vomit their own ego to fit into a selfie. And if you think that's bizarre, wait until you see what they did to their own eyes. You know that wide-eyed porcelain doll look? Victorian women craved it, at any cost. And it cost them. The recipe? Lemon juice directly into the eyeball, because stinging is just a detail. And belladonna, a plant so toxic that, if it doesn't blind you, at least it leaves your pupils beautifully dilated. Sexy and blind. The idea was to appear ethereal, mysterious, with the gaze of someone who sees beyond, or someone who can't see anything anymore. Some applied this daily. The result? Irritations, corneal scars, and of course, that irresistible combo of partial blindness and chronic pain. Interestingly, even Queen Victoria joined the trend. She used belladonna to improve her vision, even though it only made everything blurrier. But look on the bright side. No one saw the consequences, literally. Now take a deep breath, because we're about to tighten the corset, and it's not a metaphor. Nothing screams femininity like struggling to breathe, right? Victorians took this seriously. The corset was the Photoshop of the era. It sculpted the waist, slimmed the ego, and crushed internal organs with the delicacy of a steamroller. All for that hourglass shape that no one could maintain while awake for long. Corsets were tightened to the point where fainting became routine. Cough? Could be a lung crying for help. Feeling reflux? It's just your stomach trying to remember where it is. Some women wore them even while sleeping, because suffering during the day wasn't enough. The liver needed oppression at night too. And as absurd as it seems, the standard still lives on. Swap the corset for shapewear, 6-inch heels, contouring at Kardashian levels. And we have the 5G version of the same poison. The difference? Today we post the collapse with a filter. But hold on, because what they used on their teeth was even more surreal. Before Listerine and fluoride, the Victorian crowd had their own dental combo: charcoal, soot, myrrh, and a dash of cocaine. That's right. Why have a healthy mouth when you can have a euphoric smile and numb gums? The cleaning was bitter, abrasive, and completely out of touch. The toothpaste was homemade, with recipes ranging from sinister to criminal. Activated charcoal powder? Sure, but also burnt bread, boar bristles, and liquid cocaine as an anesthetic for toothache. Imagine brushing your teeth and getting high. Well, at least you forgot the pain, and your senses too. The irony? Today people pay a fortune for artisanal vegan toothpaste with activated charcoal and promises of instant whitening. The difference? They've removed the cocaine, but the placebo effect is still going strong. And if you thought that was toxic, wait until you see what they applied to their faces. White skin was synonymous with nobility, purity, and chronic intoxication. Victorian women, obsessed with hiding blemishes and looking like living porcelain, started using makeup with lead. The result? The skin might have looked smooth until it began to necrotize, but who cares when death comes with a matte finish? Lead corroded the skin slowly, creating wounds that required more lead to cover, a cycle as addictive as a toxic relationship with the mirror. Symptoms ranged from constipation to dementia. But no one cared because what mattered was the pale look, like a sepia filter of death. The modern irony? Today they sell foundation with minerals and promises of eternal youth. The difference? The packaging is prettier, and the poison is approved by health authorities. But if you think that's heavy, brace yourself for the arsenic bath. Yes, it was literal. Imagine finding the appearance of someone coughing up blood sexy. Welcome to the Victorian era, where tuberculosis became trendy. The pale skin, sunken eyes, and red lips of the sick were so enchanting that some women tried to imitate or even contract the disease on purpose. Yes, it was the terminal look that became fashionable. They slimmed their waists, lightened their skin with poisons, and applied makeup to look sicker. Some even stopped eating just to achieve that chic, cadaverous appearance. The disease decimated families, but among the elite, it was a symbol of delicacy and sophistication. A parade of silent agony, with blush, of course. And if that seems sick, it's because it was. But look around. There are still those who idolize aesthetic suffering, romanticize burnout, or use dark circles as a visual concept. The difference is that now we call it lifestyle. But hold on tight, because the Victorian nighttime beauty ritual involved opium and mercury. Want porcelain skin? In the Victorian era, the recipe was simple. Bathe in arsenic, take a deep breath, and pray not to die in the next few days. Yes, they inhaled toxic vapor and applied arsenic lotions to their faces as if it were vitamin C. The logic? If it burns, it's working. Arsenic lightened the skin and destroyed the lungs. It gave a deadly glow, caused open wounds, vomiting, and headaches that made you want to rip your own skull off. Oh, and it wasn't just on the skin. Dresses also came with arsenic dye. It was kamikaze fashion. Every seamstress was practically an end-of-the-world alchemist. Of course, today no one bathes in arsenic, officially. But do current revolutionary beauty formulas hide their own poisons? The difference is that now there's an influencer swearing they tested it on their own skin. Halt, but what about those who wanted to look sick? While today people do skincare with Korean serums, Victorians preferred something more psychedelic, like a facial mask of opium, mercury, and ammonia. That's right. They spent the night sleeping with poison on their faces and in the morning, washed it off with more poison, because self-care is about consistency, right? The goal was to have smooth, blemish-free, expressionless skin, like a funerary statue. If eyebrows or eyelashes started thinning, the solution was mercury directly on the roots. And to stimulate hair growth, ammonia on the scalp. The result? Hair loss, chemical burns, respiratory problems, and, with luck, a touch of insanity. Today, we laugh at this, while applying acids to our faces and doing peels with scientific names no one understands. The difference? Now the poison has marketing. But if you thought that was radical, take a deep breath. Because the next step is literally setting your hair on fire. Before ceramic flat irons and curling wands with heat sensors, Victorians had another technique, heating a rod in the fire and applying it directly to the hair. Nothing like the risk of setting your own head ablaze to achieve defined curls. It was like a hair fondue with the smell of burnt strands. The result was as predictable as it was tragic. Scorched hair, injured scalp, and early baldness. And the solution? Ammonia. That's right. They applied pure ammonia to the scalp, thinking it would make the hair grow. Spoiler, it only increased the chances of respiratory problems and blindness. And here you are, worried if the hairdryer damages your ends. At least it doesn't melt your dignity. But hold on tight, because the end of this journey is almost poetic. Women who vomited blood to feel purified. If you thought liquid diets were radical, Victorians took the concept further. They wanted to vomit blood. Inspired by the beautiful symptoms of tuberculosis, they believed this purified the body and made the skin whiter. It was the detox concept, horror movie version. In addition to forced fasting and charcoal powder, they used ammonium carbonate and medications that cleansed the blood, basically pushing them to the brink of collapse. And of course, the beloved leeches, attached to the skin to suck out the bad and leave the person as pale as a sheet of paper, a massive success in high society. It's curious how the idea of purification persists. Today it comes in expensive jars, green juices, and 7-day promises. But the dream is the same. Trying to clean on the outside what's messy inside. And if you think you've seen it all, just wait for the introduction I'm about to show you. So tell me, what's more terrifying? Knowing that Victorians applied poison to their faces, or realizing that you might be doing the same under a different name? The difference between arsenic and non-invasive facial lifting is just marketing. And in the end, have we truly evolved or just made self-hatred more sophisticated? How many of these past crazes do you see reflected in today's promises? Miracle detoxes, rejuvenating,